Straight ahead on Law and Crime Daily. Parents accused of letting their neighbors murder their 4-year-old daughter, their request to go to her funeral denied.
One of the worst cases, actually the worst case any of us have ever seen.
Prosecutors announced murder charges in a mass shooting in Illinois. How officers caught the suspect, an Army Special Force sergeant.
A witness who was on the first floor during the incident told police that he heard multiple gunshots and saw the defendant, Mr. Webb, with a gun.
And a judge denies bond for Ghislaine Maxwell, why Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend's second request was rejected.
She had 12 bank accounts, 3 passports.
Plus, body cam video from Nashville police officers show the harrowing moments before a bombing rocked the city. We look into the suspect's possible motives and criminal background.
The building that's next to houses all the hard lines for phones throughout the Southeast.
Law and Crime Daily covering court cases from coast to coast. Welcome everyone to Law and Crime Daily. I'm Brian Buckmire along with Terri Austin. A couple in Missouri is accused of allowing their neighbors to beat their 4-year-old daughter to death. Law and Crime's Angenette Levy is here with the gruesome details about the startling case.
Yeah, Brian, criminal complaints for the 4 adults charged in this case paint an absolutely horrifying picture of what was going on in that house. According to the father of the children, his neighbors beat his 4-year-old daughter because they believed she was a demon.
The only thing we have is what they're telling us, and they were doing it in the name of discipline, disciplining the family was their quote. There's a huge difference between discipline and beating.
Now, Sheriff Eric Knox calls this the worst case he's seen in his career. The criminal complaints state that Courtney Amon and Ethan Mast started beating members of the Mast family 5 weeks ago with a belt and a wooden spoon. Sheriff's deputies found James and Mary Mast's 4-year-old daughter dead on December 20th after James called 911. James told deputies the neighbors convinced him this was, quote, a God thing. James said his neighbors beat him, his wife Mary, and their 4-year-old daughter, and also their 2-year-old son, and that he allowed it to happen and shouldn't have fallen for it. The 4-year-old and Mary were also dunked in an icy pond.
One or more of them were fanatics. Like I put in my Facebook post, this is an isolated incident. Some people tried to say that this was the cult because they used the word demon. And obviously, demon and God in the same sentence, would cause speculation for imaginations to run wild. But there's no evidence of anything other than this family and basically 2 families.
Now, there are a laundry list of charges for all of the people charged in this case. Amon and Ethan Mast face second-degree murder charges along with some other counts. And then the Mast family, they face charges of involuntary manslaughter and also some other charges. And more charges could be filed, we're told, Brian, after the medical examiner's report is complete.
Angenette, is Ethan Mast related to James and Mary? And how is the 2-year-old doing?
That's an interesting question. According to the criminal complaint, James Mast told the deputies that to his knowledge, he and Ethan Mast were not related. It's interesting to point out that he told the deputies that Ethan Mast was actually found on a pamphlet. It was a church pamphlet found in his home. And that 2-year-old little boy is still in the hospital recovering from the wounds he suffered from those beatings.
Wow, Angenette, thanks for that update. Absolutely sickening. Now let's bring in co-host Terri Austin for a legal analysis. Terri, I can't wrap my head around some of these allegations. Beating your child and forcing you to do the same. Do you think this could be a death penalty case?
Yeah, I do think it could be a death penalty case. In all likelihood, these individuals, unless they say that there was some insanity defense or maybe they were coerced, in all likelihood, the evidence is pointing directly at them. And I do think that if, in fact, the prosecution can impose the death penalty, they will. This was a heinous crime.
Now, very interesting that you brought up the demons and there's a fear of retaliation and coercion and self-defense. Not self-defense, sorry, but coercion. Do you think that's a possible defense here, coercion?
I do think coercion is a possible defense. What they're trying to say is that this other, two people are, coercing them to do this and saying that they must do this because there are demons. But, the sheriff actually said that there was no evidence that there was any sort of cult involved. So I don't know if that is actually going to prevail.
Absolutely sickening, and we'll see how this plays out. Thank you, Terry. And now to Ohio, where city officials have fired a police officer after a fatal shooting. The Columbus Public Safety Director announced the termination of Officer Adam Coy. The board's decision is upholding the police chief's recommendation. Coy was responding to a non-emergency call about a parked SUV that had been running on and off. He encountered Andre Hill standing inside a garage. Hill stepped towards the officer, holding his cell phone when Coy fired. Coy hit record on his body cam 9 seconds after the shooting, but a look-back feature captured 60 seconds of video before recording the incident.
Put your fucking hands out to the side. Hands out to the side, now! Roll to your stomach, now!
A federal judge in New York has denied the second request by Ghislaine Maxwell to be released from jail on bond. Maxwell is accused of helping millionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein sexually abuse girls. The judge said Maxwell still poses a flight risk despite her telling the judge she'd post $28 million in bail and pay for her own 24/7 security. Prosecutors say Maxwell told them she's in the process of getting a divorce from her husband. Former federal prosecutor and Law&Crime legal analyst Gene Rossi agrees with the judge's ruling.
What happened with Miss Maxwell, she got too cute by half. She's trying to use the marriage as a sword and a shield. Before she got arrested, the marriage was just a scam. Now she's trying to use it as a shield to keep her from being detained. And the spouse, whoever he may be, he's being used and abused, in my opinion. She had 12 bank accounts, 3 passports. She could go to either England, where she has a passport, or France, and they rarely extradite or not often extradite people. The other reason is this. She was living in the shadows when they arrested her, and she has every reason in the world at her age and facing these charges never to come back. So it could have been $220 million, and she would have been detained.
Yeah, I don't see her changing zip codes anytime soon. Still ahead on Law&Crime Daily, an Army Green Beret now faces charges in a deadly bowling alley shooting. And later, an inside look into the moments surrounding the Nashville bombing, what alerted officers to an incoming danger. Officials in Illinois announced murder charges against an Army Special Forces sergeant. Terri Austin has the latest on this mass shooting.
Brian, Duke Webb is accused of going on a deadly shooting spree at a bowling alley. Prosecutors say Webb is facing 3 charges of murder and 3 charges of attempted murder for the incident in Rockford. Records show Webb is a Green Beret based out of Pensacola, Florida. The U.S. Army says he was deployed overseas 4 times. Police went to Don Carter Lanes on December 26th after receiving a call of shots fired. 3 people were killed and 3 more are injured.
A 16-year-old female was sitting at a table on the first floor with 3 other teenagers when the defendant began shooting at their table. This female suffered a through-and-through gunshot wound to the shoulder. She survived her injury. A 14-year-old male was shot in the face. He is alive but hospitalized in critical condition. 65-year-old Thomas Furseth was on the first floor when the defendant began shooting. Mr. Furseth began running toward the stairs when the defendant shot him in the torso. He was able to run up the stairs before he collapsed. He was dead at the scene when police arrived. The defendant then went upstairs to the second floor of Don Carter Lanes. Approximately 20 to 25 people were on the second floor. The defendant fired several shots at the people in the bar. He shot 73-year-old Dennis Steinhoff in the torso. Mr. Steinhoff's body was recovered on the balcony just outside the bar. 69-year-old Jerome Woodfork was on the second floor when the defendant began shooting. Mr. Woodfork's body was found in the parking lot below the balcony. He suffered a gunshot wound to the neck. A witness saw him fall to the ground from that balcony. He was deceased when officers arrived.
Prosecutors say defendant continued his shooting rampage through the bowling alley.
A 62-year-old male was in the bar on the second floor. The defendant shot this victim in the left eye, back, neck, groin, and buttocks. This victim is alive but still in critical condition. Police officers located the defendant inside the building and took him into custody. The entire incident was captured on video surveillance. The defendant admitted to the shootings and directed officers to the locations of the firearms that he used. 2 firearms were recovered in that location. They were located behind a bag that belonged to the defendant. The firearms were a Glock 40 caliber and a Glock 380 caliber. Multiple 40 caliber and 380 caliber shell casings were found at the scene. One question that's arisen is, why was Mr. Webb in Rockford, Illinois? He was originally from Florida. He was here on leave visiting family.
Criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Julie Rendelman joins Terri and I for legal analysis. Julie, defense attorney said Webb shows signs of PTSD and other traumatic brain injuries. They asked for a mental health evaluation. Is this a potential mitigation for a plea, defense at trial, or maybe both?
Yeah, I think it could be both. I mean, they're already setting the stage. This is a man, I think he's 37 years old. He's done already 4 tours in Afghanistan. We don't know what he's seen, what he's experienced. But I think it's clear that the defense is laying the groundwork to go after, whether or not this is a mental health issue. They've already talked about some memory loss as well as being a potential mitigation or some type of defense. So we'll see. And I'm curious to know what people knew about his mental health before he ended up on leave with 2 guns in his possession.
Especially people in the Army, that would be good to know. Terri, bail was denied this time. What's that due to the case as the defense is seeking to get Webb evaluated?
I think the judge denied bail because it's clear that Webb is posing a threat to the community. But his attorney did say that she thought that he did have indications of PTSD. In her press conference, she stated that she was going to have him evaluated by doctors, and we'd have to wait to see what they said. But that was her thought as well.
Yeah, you got to make the argument, but I didn't see that bail argument really working in this case. Coming up on Law and Crime Daily, a swearing defendant finds himself adding more time onto his sentence. The courtroom video you don't want to miss after the break. Trust me when I say judges can hear a lot of things from the bench, but cursing at them is never a good idea. Law and Crime founder and host of the A&E series Court Cam tells us about one inmate that didn't want to keep their mouth shut.
Christopher Colon.
Our next stop is at the Broward County Courthouse in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
He's been charged with 2 counts of violating an injunction,
where Christopher Colon appears for his bond hearing via video before Judge John Hurley.
Court finds probable cause.
Colon was arrested and charged with 2 counts of violating a restraining order in a domestic violence case related to his ex-girlfriend. He also has an open pending case in which he's being charged for aggravated battery against a pregnant woman, his current girlfriend.
I think I remember you from before coming into this courtroom.
Yes, sir.
I remember.
Less than a month ago, Colon posted bond in the aggravated battery case and went free. So the judge isn't exactly thrilled to see him again.
You're already out on bond. You're already out.
Yes, sir, and my bondsman is willing to take me out again on a bond.
That's very kind of him, but that won't be necessary today because you're
well,
not
I'll
going
see you
anywhere.
guys. Well, I'll see you guys in with a lawyer and a lawsuit too.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait, bring him back, please.
And you can go yourself too.
Colon storms off.
Would you bring him back for me, please?
Judge, you back.
Hi. Good morning again, Mr. Colon.
Good morning to you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Colon, Yeah, don't mute that. Could you turn that mic back on for me? Turn the mic back on.
Suck my You guys can suck my You guys can suck my okay? I'm being dead real. Suck my
$125,000. Your bond on count 2 will be $125,000. Your total
How much is my bond?
$250,000. That's
okay, no
because
problem. I can bond out in a minute.
Court will also order, sir, on case 14-7168 CF10, you'll be held without bond. That bond is revoked.
With the amount seemingly no issue, the judge has just taken away the bond from the aggravated battery case, meaning Colon will not be able to go free this time. And this really sets him off.
Like I said, you guys can suck my while you guys had it.
Sir, the court at this time is inclined to hold you in contempt of court.
I don't give a f. Go ahead, I got lawyers, man.
Your
Look here, man.
behavior.
I don't got nothing to say, man.
Now, I will find you in contempt of court for disrupting this court. Now, I will give you
was
an
already
opportunity.
going to find me in contempt of court.
I will give
anyway,
you an
man.
opportunity. Is there anything you'd like to say?
You ain't no Hitler, man, for me to have to salute.
Noting that you made no comments in your defense, the court at this time will sentence you to 364 days in the Broward County Jail. Thank you very much. Have a
you. That's why.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Can I see Mr. Colon, please?
A week later, Colon is back in front of the judge.
Present.
Judge Harley, I apologize. What I did, I was wrong. And not only I was wrong for cursing you out, of the deputies hearing me curse you out, I apologize to them too. Your Honor, I apologize real bad, and I'm asking for my apology, please, Your Honor.
Okay, the apologies accepted. It will be converted to time served at this time.
Colon's apology gets that additional year sentence for contempt cut down to time served, but still gets no bond on the aggravated battery case and serves almost 14 months before he's released.
Season 3 of Court Cam airs Wednesdays at 9 p.m. When we come back, the chilling recording the Nashville bombing suspect played just moments before the explosion. Hear it for yourself next. Newly released body cam video gives a first-hand account into the moments surrounding the bombing in Tennessee. Nashville police officers headed down 2nd Avenue just after 6 a.m. on Christmas morning. The officers, hearing a warning from an RV about a possible explosion, went door to door warning people to evacuate.
So you're not doing anything wrong, okay? You're not in trouble, but there is something serious happening down the road.
The recording from the RV can be heard as the officers hurried past.
That's so weird. That's like something out of a movie.
Like The Purge?
Yeah.
At 6:29 a.m., the bomb went off. The sound captured on an officer's body cam.
423
The sight captured on street surveillance video. Those same officers suited up and rushed towards the scene. Debris covered the street as the RV continued to burn.
Okay.
No, guys.
Where's your car? Okay, go to your car. What's going on?
The blast damaged more than 20 buildings and injured at least 3 people.
Boy 44, we need a 47 and taking the Broadway for an officer that has hearing loss in his left ear.
Authorities identified 63-year-old Anthony Quinn Warner as the suspect. Warner died in the explosion. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said detectives matched DNA found at the scene to Warner's hat and gloves. Those detectives now working to determine if Warner was paranoid about 5G and targeted the AT&T building.
Hey, man. Hey. Go that way, man. Sorry. You're good. You just go that way.
Many in Nashville still searching for the why.
Dude, trust me. Go that way. Please.
I saw it go off this morning.
I know it. Keep going that way. As far as y'all can.
Joining me again are attorneys Julie Rendelman and Terri Austin. Terri, incredible work by the officers, many lives saved, likely many would have lost, but for their quick thinking. How did you react to hearing this story when it first broke?
Well, Brian, that's exactly right. Bless those officers who went running towards the incident and not away from the incidents. And as you said, they saved many lives. My first reaction was, what is the motive? And I guess that is what everyone is asking. The, perpetrator actually did this at a time when not many people would be around, and also gave a 15-minute warning so that people could be cleared out of the area. So you have to wonder, what was the intent here? It was a suicide, and clearly he damaged property, didn't kill people. Was this a warning? So that's what I want to know. What was the motive?
Yeah, Julie, that's the question on everyone's tongue right now. It's not really clear, but we're digging into his background. We're hearing a lot of theories. Potential suicide. He was hunting aliens in his pastime, belief in lizard men or lizard people. Now, there might not be a clear connection to this, but where are we going with this whole thought process of what the motive could be?
It sounds like he clearly planned to not survive this incident. And I say that because he had already done certain things prior to the explosion, i.e., I believe he had given away his car. He had transferred his home to someone else without even getting paid. So it seemed clear that he did not intend to survive. And one of I think it was a neighbor, said that when she asked him about Christmas, his statement was, the world is never going to forget me. And so one wonders if he had hoped to leave something for everyone to remember him by.
Thanks, Julie, and thank you all for joining us here at Law and Crime Daily. We'll see you next time as we discuss justice in America.